10 real AI engineer interview questions from a Quest 2 offer. Mock interview. Pause on each one. Think how you'd answer. Then I'll show you how. Question 1. How does a RAG system retrieve relevant context before it generates a response? You embed the query with the same model that indexed the documents, so they share one. Vector space, nearest neighbor search returns the top chunks by similarity. In production, go hybrid, dense plus BM25. Add a cross-encoder re-rank, and below a threshold, return nothing. Question 2. For a real-time chatbot, what are the first 3 things you'd check to debug a sudden latency spike? First, open the trace and find the slope, span, retrieval, re-rank, or the model call. Second, time the provider directly and check token, counts and rate limits. Third, look at infra under load, GPU, saturation, and your vector database. Isolate the layer before you change anything. Question 3. In production RAG, how do you handle high confidence, but factually wrong chunks that cause hallucinations? High similarity doesn't mean correct, so add verification, a cross-encoder re-rank, and an LLM judge that the chunk really supports the claim. Answer only from cited sources and say, I don't know below a threshold. Then fix the index and track faithfulness with Ragus. Question 4. At 100,000 queries a day, how do you balance cost and latency between a small distilled model and a big API? Use tiered routing. A cheap small model handles the easy majority, and you escalate to the big one only when needed. Add a semantic cache and prompt caching. Self-host with VLLM for batching and quantization, tuned to your latency target. And A/B both on a golden set. Question 5. Design a CI/CD pipeline that tests and deploys a new prompt version with safe rollback. Version your prompts as config in Git. On every pull request, run an offline eval against a holdout set and fail the build. On a regression, ship it behind a feature flag as a Small canary, watching quality and cost. Rollback just flips back to the last good version. Quick pause. These questions come from Quest 2 offers. AI mock interview, technical or Fong format. The AI asks questions for your exact role. You answer in writing, and you get a breakdown of your weak spots. Try it free at Quest 2 offer. Then back to the questions. Question 6. A production LLM service returns 503s only at peak traffic. What inframetrics do you check first? Start with provider limits. Peak traffic often hits a rate limit or quota, so check the dashboard and your error counts. Then auto-scaling, scalar speed, pending pods, GPU saturation, cold starts. Then concurrency, queue depth and connection pools. Fix it with pre-scaling, back pressure, and a higher quota. Question 7. When do you pick hybrid, dense plus BM25 over dense-only retrieval for a real estate search? Go hybrid when exact tokens matter. Property, IDs, street names, price ranges, codes, because BM25 nails those, and for niche jargon or long-tail queries. Fuse dense and sparse with rank fusion, then re-rank.
Dense only is fine for purely conceptual questions.
Cheaper and simpler. Question 8. A LangChain agent loops infinitely calling a tool. What log patterns or metrics do you inspect? First, look for repeated identical tool calls, the same tool and arguments every step. That's the loop. Check the tool output for errors or empty results. The model keeps retrying. Watch for parser failures and a scratchpad going nowhere. Fix it with a max iterations limit and a clear stop condition. Question 9. Hallucinations on a summarizer suddenly spike. What tells you if it's prompt drift or data quality degradation? Check per output faithfulness against the source to see exactly when it dropped. Look at input drift, length and truncation. Cut-off inputs cause fabrication. Diff the model and prompt version against the spike. The rule: a degraded source means data quality. A changed prompt means prompt drift. Question 10. How do you structure unit tests for a Python function that orchestrates a LangChain agent with API calls? Never call real models or tools mock them, so tests are fast and deterministic. Test your own logic. Parsing, tool routing, retries, and the exact prompt sent. Cover the failure paths, errors, bad output, timeouts. Keep unit tests mocked and run real integration tests nightly. That's all 10. If this helped, like and subscribe and try a real mock interview at Quest 2 offer. Good luck on your next call.